Today, I want to tell you the story of how I discovered that I was not depressed. Um, so, for some context, I was struggling with frustration at the world. I was realizing that the world was controlled, that there was, big corporations, economic slavery, corruption, whatever, all the stuff that we all learn. Um, and I started to feel as though we lived in a terrible world. And then I also started to look at, the different people in my life, friends, family, colleagues, bosses, supervisors, and they were all just really, really unpleasant. And I started to feel that there was no hope in this world, that everything was tragic, that I was trapped, that I was used, that I was um, unwanted, that there was no hope, all of these things, right? Um, and it got bad. It got bad. It took, like, when did I begin to get depressed? I guess from the beginning to the peak was probably 3 years. And the peak was bad. The peak was I didn't want to live anymore. I was not getting out of bed. I was not going to work. It was bad. Um, and then something, something gave me just enough hope to fight a little bit longer. And I decided to try a meditation technique. And it was a really deep, relaxed, surrendered meditation. And in that state, I I saw the mind. I saw the mind. This vision lasted a few seconds, 3, 5 seconds maybe. And I immediately just jumped up from the meditation, well, within a few seconds. And I said, I get it. I understand. And I wasn't immediately 100% fixed in every possible way that a person could be fixed. But I never, ever, ever said the word the phrase, I am depressed, ever again. So it took me a long time to be able to describe what I came to understand. Here it is, as simply as possible. I am the mind is something that I am experiencing. The mind picks up thoughts. It picks up the thoughts that it wants to, and it brings it in front of me, and I experience those thoughts. And the mind was picking a series of terrible thoughts and generating the resultant sad emotions. What I realized is that I was watching and unfortunately engaging with and tragically identifying with a mind that was depressed. That knowledge fixed everything in the sense that I no longer identified as depressed. I no longer experienced depression, and I was no longer trapped by depression. The healing process had to take a while. It's still ongoing, but let's say it was extremely intense for a year, fairly intense for like 2 or 3 years, and then continued to this day, and that was 9 years ago. Um, the healing process is where I had to heal the wounds that caused my mind to prefer thoughts of pain and sadness. I had to learn to discipline the mind to think positive thoughts, useful thoughts. I had to spend time daily in silence so that I understood that, so that I could remember this experience that I had. I, the mind, the thoughts, the emotions. I needed to have that separation, that disidentification from. Now, this is not dissociation. This is not avoidance. This is not the repetitive, the disconnected repetition of affirmations. This is not what I'm talking about. This is, I needed to know who I am, and I needed to experience that. And if I was spending 99.99999% of my time identified with the mind, I had to make sure that there was like a little tiny 0.01 thing where I was experiencing I am. And that had to increase and increase and increase. I had to allow it, welcome it, experience it, spend time in it. And that had to go up to 1%, 5%, 10%. And I had to spend a significant portion. I had to familiarize myself with the feeling of I, so that I didn't get lost in the mind as often. I used the mind and saw it as a tool, as an experience, as a service, a process, but as an action. The mind, I believe it was Patanjali who said, the mind is an action and you can stop. That was mind blowing. So the healing process was purging the mind, healing the mind, taming the mind, retraining the mind, becoming comfortable being in silence, or just simply being, as I call it now. It was healing and releasing traumas and energetic blockages in my system. It was learning and understanding what these things are. It was becoming familiar with, becoming comfortable in the present moment through various different things. The healing process is not something small or light. It is a very serious thing. But the healing of I am depressed is I am depression. I am depression. I am engaging with and identifying with and being consumed by and being smothered by, engulfed by, eaten up by depression. But I am not depressed. I have a mind that I have neglected to be the leader of. When you forget that there is I and the mind starts to control you, and you have abandoned your role, your duty to lead the mind. And when you don't lead the mind turns into whatever it wants to. It just spirals. And my mind, untamed, became depressed. It chose these things because it was familiar. It chose betrayal, distrust, unfairness, the feeling of being trapped, the feeling of not being able to escape, the feeling of there's a bad guy and there's nothing we can do about the bad guy. And it chose those thoughts because that's what was left. That's what it knew from childhood. That's what it remembered. I neglected my duty to give the mind other things to think about, to give it a task, to give it a focus, to tell it to rest, to tell it to refocus, to tell it to think positivity, to think creativity. I did not tell the mind to do that. So the mind did what it could do, what it knew to do. And it repeated and repeated the same core thoughts and core experiences from childhood, but it just put on grown up clothes on it. So instead of my father, it said the president. Instead of my family, it said all the people around you. And it just changed the words a bit, but it was just recycling the thoughts. And it meant well. You know, the mind is just there to serve, and it says, oh, my original instruction is to think. I guess I'll think. And it just thought the same things over and over. And I forgot who I was, and it made me listen to the mind and believe the mind. And I got scared by what the mind created. And of course, if the mind took my past, put it in my glasses, made it a filter that I saw my present through, and then I was disgusted, repulsed, afraid of, and angry at what I was looking at. Now, I'm not saying that the world is not unfair and that there's no corruption, or that, you know, people aren't mean or selfish, or there aren't any bullies out there. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that the mind made that up. I'm saying that the mind used a filter. When you put on rose-colored glasses and you see rose, that's not to say that there isn't rose in the world. the color spectrum is made up of red and pink. It is. But the filter filters only that. It makes you see only that. So I allowed the mind to give me the illusion that what I hated the most and what I feared the most was what the world consisted of 100%. It was only when I regained the driver's seat and I was like, wait a minute, mind, good job, cease, desist. I will take it from here. I will tell you where to focus. I will tell you how to be, and I will tell you don't go to the past, don't project to the future, be here now and experience being. It was only then that I was able to realize, wait, right, right now, in the midst of a world that has things that I really don't like, right now, there is being an experience of life. And that experience of life is unbelievably good. It lacks nothing. It wants nothing. It fears nothing. It needs nothing. And it is in competition with no one. And that is the biggest sigh in the world. It is the greatest comfort. It is the ultimate massage, the absolute relaxation. And it is the little secret in your heart that makes you walk around with a smile, even as you go through the world and you create solutions to the things that are in your circle of influence. When I learned that, I realized it all at once in 2 or 3 seconds. And then I learned to master myself, to regain the driver's seat, and to take my consciousness, the energy of my consciousness, and send it where I wanted it, to build the life that I wanted. That took years to master that. But to immediately get better at it than absolute zero didn't take very long at all. It just takes a while to become really good at it. So I'm trying to keep this short. The point of this video is I'm really careful not to say you, because I know people are not, there are some people who are not ready to hear that, and there will be, resistance and saying, but I am depressed. I've been depressed forever. Here is the credentials and the lab report on how depressed and how deep and varied my depression is. I'm not arguing that with you. I'm saying I got out of a literally life-threatening, immobilizing, gut-wrenching depression when I realized that I am not depressed. In fact, I am the state of being that I am is wonderful and perfect and has always been like that and always will be. I'm just here to teach you this liberation. If you're interested in it, if you're ready to remember who you are and how you are, I'm here for this. So please explore the channel, lots of videos, lots of meditations. Check out the book, The Art of Being. It is a beautiful summary of what goes wrong, how the illusion happens. And if you want to go deeper into this, I recommend the membership group. It's just $10 a month, but we do workshops, Q&As, live meetings. We explore topics. We help each other and encourage each other and share our journeys and our struggles with each other. And I'm about to start a series called Co-Creation, how to work with the guidance inside of you, the friend on the inside, to heal and recreate the world around you. So if you're interested in that, please check it out. It's in the description. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.